One of the most iconic circuits of Formula One is back in this season's calendar of the Zoom Racing League. Division 1 Championship. Welcome to Le Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, here in Belgium in the depth of the Ardennes forest. The longest track of the F1 calendar is 4.4 miles long, and with 20 corners, 2 DRS zones, one in the pit straight and one in the second one is in the Kemmel Straight, just above the legendary uphill corners of Eau Rouge and Radion to help overtaking, but there will be many overtaking opportunities nonetheless in this race, especially with the help of possible changing weather conditions, as we've seen so far in Division 3, in Division 2. We're in for an exciting race, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to the Division 1 Racing, and I'm your host, John Ranger. With me in the booth, Nathan Doe. Nathan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Nathan, you had a lot of really changing conditions, both in qualifying and during the race in the Division 2 race. Might be something we're going to see also in Division 1 so far. Weather has been a little bit of a bipolar one, I'll say, so far this weekend. And so let's get on with our Drivers' Championship. Look at the driver standings after really an exciting and bit of a chaotic race in Singapore last weekend. There's been a couple changes in the racing order at the end of the race due to post-race penalties. We're on board with Johannes Ludwig, who's currently on his banker lap right now. Let's go into our Drivers' Championships. And we got a couple reserves. We'll talk about them as well, Nathan.
Yeah, so Hudson Poole leads after winning in Singapore. Quite a dominant win from him after it looked like it wouldn't be such an easy one for him. After him is Eric Carvalho, who hasn't exactly had the best results other than a win in Hungary, but he has had that consistency to get the points up. After that, it's Quentin Kay in the Haas, similar story to Eric Carvalho ahead of him, and Marc-Olivier Bastien, after having 2 P2 finishes, he DNFs in Singapore after a controversial incident with Chad Swindell. So he's 4th, and he's looking to get more points than he did last weekend. If he didn't, that'd be quite a sad tale for him. But actually, I totally forgot that won't be happening at all, because he is not here, and we have a reserve in place, and I believe that's Nicolas Pichet, who seems to be very quick from what I've heard. So that'll be exciting for the Williams team, and that's not the only reserve they have tonight, more on that later. After that, it's the McLaren man of Cam Bourne in P5, good results from him, and then Marcel Paps in P6, Austrian driver, will look to take it as far as his teammate has so far, 2nd, 3rd now on the grid. He looks to at least try to get that kind of result, and the 2 Red Bulls, Chad Swindell and Kyle Blevins. So Chad is serving a qualifying ban right now. He should be retired from the session, but he might be maybe working on his setup a little bit, which I think is allowed. But anyways, we carry on to see Kyle Blevins in P8 of the driver's standings, and he's 2nd on the timing charts right now. After that, it's Aaron Altmaier and Ryan Newton and Aston Martin sandwich, and Maxime is the bottom piece of bread on that. Johannes Ludwig currently P4 in the timing sheets, but 12th in the standings. After that, it's Colin Edwards in the AlphaTauri, Sean Moriarty in the Haas, Madison Cube replaced by Kenny LaFleur tonight is in 15th, and then Paul Mirage in the Alfa Romeo did not start his last race, but I think he's here this weekend. After that, it's Hector Ochoa in the Alpine, Major Castleman in the McLaren, Freddie Razzle in the Alfa Romeo, and Celius Repas in the AlphaTauri. And then I believe we had one more reserve, didn't we, John Ranger?
Yeah, the reserve currently, you mentioned earlier, Eric Carvalho is P2 in the standings right now. Well, he's being reserved in the Alpine by Lucas Jan, I think a fellow Brazilian driver as well. And we're told that he's been running a couple leagues and is a very fast driver, borderline esports driver. And we kind of do have a couple of borderline esports driver guys in our league, so we'll see where he fares against them, as Quentin K pulls a 140.8. He's 4/10 above Lucas Yang, actually 3/10 above Lucas Yang. As we were talking about Lucas, here he goes, he got a banker lap out of 141.1. Quentin K is the only driver so far in the 140s, and so Lucas Yan, and we're gonna see him under LDL Lightning because he stepped up a little bit last minute for us here. But that is Nicolas Pichet, LDL for La Ligue du Lundi Soir, and it's a French-Canadian league here, and he has won their championship, I believe, the last season, racing alongside of Marc-Olivier Bastien and Maxime Beaulieu and a couple other guys in D1, and so he has raced in the past, actually. I don't remember if he raced at all last season or maybe 2 seasons ago, with us in Zoom Racing League, and showed very fast pace, but for an entire race was a little bit inconsistent and had incidents, and ended up, sometimes retiring in the pit lane, I mean, or just not completing his race. And so that'll be something we'll be looking at on a track here in Belgium, where these drivers are gonna have to be very careful with changing conditions, because real quick, Nathan, from what I'm looking at, and I'm hoping I'm reading it right, but I do believe so far for the qualifying is going to be fully dry. However, we may see some weather changes during the race as well, similar to Division 2 conditions, actually. And so we'll see where that brings us there. So we might see some intermediate conditions. Maybe not for the entirety of the race, maybe a little bit throughout the halfway. But that's something that we're going to keep tabs on and keep you guys updated throughout the race.
It's absolutely, and something else. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just letting you go, and if you wanted to add something, and then we'll go to the constructors.
That's something. Well, that's what I was going to add, and something else we should keep tabs on is what I was going to say is the constructor standing. So we'll pull those up. And it's Mercedes at the top of the table right now, and I was in a practice session with them earlier this week, and they said that they're confident enough for maybe a 1-2 finish. So looking to extend that lead definitely is the Mercedes crew tonight. Behind them is Alpine with, just the one reserve in Lucas Jan, of course,
Yep.
But also Hector Choa there, trying to bring the fight to Mercedes. After that, it's Haas. Then Williams and Red Bull are tied with 79 points. After that, Ferrari, and 2 points behind them is McLaren, my very own team. Then Aston Martin in 8th, and then AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo need to really get some catching up done tonight. And with the positions they're in right now, at least in the qualifying grid as it stands, I think AlphaTauri could at least be looking to get some good points, but with the likes of Freddie Razzle and Alfa Romeo, then I don't know if there's any hope for them anymore. But that is the constructor standings, and everyone right now is out, at least on their out lap or the hot lap right now, for their second run in qualifying.
Yeah, exactly, and it's going to be a tough one for Williams, right? They got 2 reserve drivers, which means half points here in the ZRL when they have reserve racers. So, I mean, the middle of the pack, going from Haas down to, I'd say, Ferrari, even McLaren, actually, there's not a lot that separates this pack of 5 teams, and so Williams will see themselves getting only half points this weekend, and so even if their drivers do really well, it might be a little bit, a little bit iffy. And Kenny Lafleur raced or reserved, I believe, in D2 last night, and eventually finished dead last, other than the DNS drivers. So hopefully he could do a little bit better here in Division 1. And we'll see how Nicolas Bichet is able to fare as well with the top drivers. And so far, with a little bit over 7 minutes to go, Quinton Kay and Lucas Jan are on their out laps. So I think Kyle Blevin is on his heater here. So he's just got past the Les Combes, the chicanes here, and he's going around to Bruxelles. He's currently top 3 on the timing boards, and he's going for his second lap with 141.2. So he's just a little less than 600ths off of Lucas Jan. Still got ways to go to reach Quinton Kay, but Kyle Blevin's already on his second lap here, really going all out on his soft tires. So I don't think he's going to be keeping a fresh set of softs for the race unless he's gone for the softer tire allocations, Nathan. So probably expecting hards or mediums, and he's just invalidated his lap, unfortunately. Really sad for Kyle there. So he's probably going to go diving into the pits and get himself ready for his third try lap here in qualifying.
Yes, and I'm looking at Celius Rebus, who's just started his flying lap now. I'll take us through a little lap here if we're on board right now.
Oh,
you good? Alright, so having the little car on the right, and you know how to pronounce these better than I do, but Erouge and Radion, these 2 corners are very famous, not for the best reasons, but they are 2 of the most majestic corners in all of motorsport racing. You want to hang kind of towards the middle of the track, but he's going a bit left and down the Kemmel Straight. You don't want to be the first car in the line on the first lap here, but it doesn't matter. He's 1.3 tenths up, and then through the Lecombe chicane, and this right-hander that I don't know the name of, very tricky to keep it on the throttle, very nice and consistent. But now onto this downhill right-hander, he does mess it up just a little bit going deep, but if you can get on the throttle early, you'll be able to salvage that. And through speed corner, a little bit of a moment on the exit, but it is okay because he's still going. And through Puan now, a little bit of a lift at the very most. He has a downshift, and you want to hang left and into this very, very tricky chicane, because on the throttle you can very easily spin on these curbs here, but he keeps it very, very nice. Then through this tricky right-hander as well, very easy to invalidate on the exit of this corner, but he hasn't. And then through this flat-out right-hander, that will be it until I do forget the name of this little left-hander, but after that is the famous Blanchiment. And then the bus stop chicane, it will be the final two corners that he faces on this lap. So we will see if he goes a bit deep, and he doesn't actually, so second gear, and now he's going to go all the way down to the line, a little bit of DRS to assist his straight line speed at the end, and he goes 8th, 4/10 up, and there is a few people coming in behind him for a lap. I believe that is a Williams of, I already forgot his name, Pichet something. Nicholas Pichet goes second fastest, and he's 100th off Quentin K in P1 right now. Then I believe we have a McLaren. Is that... Oh, going into the pits goes Major Castleman. Cam Bourne, I believe he invalidated his lap where he's flying right now. I think he might actually be on a flying lap, so we'll go on board with him as we just wait to see him finish his lap. There might be a Mercedes also finishing their lap, but no, it doesn't. Pool going into the pits. Cam Bourne going into the bus stop chicane. I think he's actually multiple seconds down, so he's actually going into the pits. After that, there's Williams, and that must be of Kenny LaFleur, looking to improve on his 1:46.8. That is not an impressive lap time, but he goes into the pits, and he will have one lap to really put his place down in the timing sheets. Then Ryan Noon, I think he's also going on for an in lap, so plenty of these drivers just finishing up their laps and getting ready to do their final laps in a couple minute time. But I think that is it for people who are on a hot lap right now. We have Lucas Jan, who's invalidated his in lap, but he did go third fastest, 140.950. And look at how tight this grid is. But the thing is, it's actually not too tight, is it? Because only from P1 to P4 we have people in the 140s, but after that, it's a bit more split up than we normally see in Division 1, isn't it, John?
Yeah, and this is a very long track, and so every little tiny mistakes, or if you don't get on the throttle as quickly as you normally do, really costs you, especially in Division 1, right? It's always just a hair piece away of being on pole, basically. We see it between the times of Quentin K and Nicholas Pichet. It's only 100 separating them, both these drivers. And so far, Quentin K, I think it's still his same time from earlier, so I don't think he's actually gone out for a second lap so far, and he's still in the pits. We're seeing quite a number of drivers going out on their out laps, and because of the sector flag, okay, so we're at 2 minutes 20, so everybody's going to be going out. Here's Quentin K out of the pits. Everybody's going to go out for their final heater, the warm-up lap, and to their final qualifying lap, and the battle for pole is on between Quentin K and Nicholas Pichet, and maybe even for some surprise drivers. Actually, no, Lucas Jan is not too far behind in P3, and so the two reserve drivers, P2, P3, currently, we were told they were fast, and so far they are showing us that they are. We'll see if they could keep it up during the race as well. Another reserve, actually, just worth noting here, Nathan. I've not noticed. It is usually Sean Moriarty in the Haas in P15 who's not there tonight. So it's Max who is reserving for him. And I'm trying to figure out. I'm seeing Nicholas Pichet has retired from the session, not going out for another lap, and I think he's still in the pit, so it's not an incident on track. He's just decided not to go for another qualifying lap.
Maybe just a little bit of confidence for him, but if he's quick, then he's definitely proven so, but I don't think he's safe in that position. I think a few drivers will eventually get him, and that'll be it for him. But let's see, who was the first on a hot lap that I saw? I believe it was Paul Mariage in the Alfa Romeo, so he's just come out of Puan now. Don't know if he's improved on his time, but this is his final hot lap, and he takes this chicane okay. I mean,
Oh,
5-second time penalty for Hudson Pool. So in the Mercedes on a outlap, I think he's just coming out of bus stop chicane now. So that must have been through the chicane, if I were to guess. So that's not too good for a 1-2 that I was talking about earlier for the Mercedes crew. We go back on board with Paul Mariage, and he's about to come through the bus stop chicane. Now he's 1/10 up on his Sector 2 time. But will that be enough to improve his place too much? He has to get maybe a couple tenths just to move up a few positions, but what will it be across the line? It will be a 141.856, and that's good enough for P11. And let's see who else is just about to finish their lap. It's an AlphaTauri, I think that's Colin Edwards, who's invalidated his lap, so next will be the Ferrari of Johannes Ludwig, who's 2/10 up. So right now that would put him around P8, but I think he can improve through these final few corners here. But after that, it will just be car after car after car crossing the line. It will be so much for us to keep up. But right now, it's all about Johannes Ludwig as he goes through the bus stop chicane now. Takes it almost perfectly. A bit of a slide on the entry, I must say. But now he gets on the throttle nice and early and down to the line. It will be a 141.3 and that will put him P9. Then we have the Alfa Romeo, Freddie Razzle. He's coming across the line now. Will it be a good time? Not really. After that, it's Aston Martin of, I believe that's Aaron Allmeyer, who's normally good in qualifying, but not as good as we normally see from him. So after that, Lucas Yanis crossed the line. He's P3, and I believe Hector Ochoa is actually the one who's crossed the line. That's Alpine. Then we have a Red Bull of Kyle Blevins, who goes P5. Great showing from him. Then the Haas of Quentin K goes P1. Stays P1, I should say. 140.693. Good for pole right now. Nothing from the Williams, nothing from the Haas, nothing too special from the McLaren. It's P8 for him. Major Castleman just across the line now. It's P13.
Ryan Newton.
Then we have
across.
the Mercedes. Ryan
Wow.
Newton goes P1. That's P1 for Ryan Newton, and everyone coming across the line now. I don't think that will change. So
That
we
is
have
it.
Mr. Ryan Newton on pole position. What a great showing from a man who's gone by mainly Barney Goatmere. That's how everyone knows him. But now he's on P1 and he's making his name known as Ryan Newton. And what a showing for him in the Mercedes.
Great lap from him at a 146.45, just a little above 4 or 5 tenths on for 500. Sorry, on Quentin K. Quentin K had improved on his time as well, but Ryan Newton was all over that one. Maybe got a little bit of help from a pole of Hudson Pool down in Blanchimont. I noticed the McLarens, sorry, not the McLarens, the Mercedes were kind of close by one another, and Hudson Pool had invalidated his lap, and so he's going P7. I'm trying to keep tabs on division on the Division 1 general chat, given that Hudson Pool got a 5 plays grid penalty, and sometimes those are given a little bit randomly by the game, or a little bit harshly, I should say, by the game. So I think we're just kind of looking into it. Will there be a lobby restart? We had seen that couple races back. I believe in Division 3 happened to Joe Guron, I think in Hungary. So we'll see what happens with there. Sometimes when you have a car, coming up behind you, if you're anywhere near the racing line, they will give you the 5 grid place penalty. So we'll keep an eye on that. So far, our pole sitter, Ryan Newton in the Mercedes, followed by Quentin K, Nicolas Pichet, Lucas Jan, Kyle Blevins. Great lap from Kyle here. Marcel Pass, Hudson Pool, Stella Strepass, Cam Bourne P9, Joanna Ludwig in P10. And I've got 4 seconds left, so I'm just going to show you the last couple, the bottom 10 drivers. Chad Swindell, let's not forget, has a qualifying ban in the Red Bull due to the incident that cost him 2 penalty points and 10 seconds time penalty in Singapore. And that is that. So the discussion right now is wondering, is there going to be a lobby restart or not? But so far it seems as they're going to have to deal with it as it is, I believe. And yeah, most definitely a rainy session, so it's gonna be sunny to begin with, and then we're gonna have a little bit of a short period of overcast and a bit of rain. Before we go on to the race, though, Nathan, you know what it's time for? Time to pop in that juice box. I'm gonna crack myself a cold one.
Oh man, I've just got my juice all over my microphone.
Oh, and we're in here for a really juicy race here, ladies and gents. Grab your snacks, and we're not looking towards a lobby restart so far. So we're gonna be racing in just a moment's time, while the drivers get ready for their tire strategies. We have not spoken about tire strategies yet.
Yeah, I'll take us through that. Normally in dry conditions it would be soft to medium, medium to soft, I think. But you know, with a little wet weather, uh, it might be a bit different. And here are the lights. Take it away, John Ranger.
Yeah, the lights are out, and Belgium Grand Prix is underway right now, and Ryan Newton is going to have a really good start, and we're going to go right away on the tire strategies, because that's going to be really interesting. Look at Ryan, is on the mediums. He doesn't have a better start than Quentin K, who had the inside line on the hard tires. And so no, Quentin K is still on P2. Sorry, I looked at that wrongly. So Quentin K P2, Nicolas Pichet. So look at the grid. It's completely mixed up between soft runners, medium runners, and hard tire runners. Possibly influenced by the possible weather conditions. We're on board with Quentin K. Is he going to be able to make a move here on Ryan Newton? He's used a little bit of ERS, but it seems like Ryan, either with the setup or with the help of the ERS, has been using a bit more to cover his P1, and so Ryan Newton's still in P1, down into Bruxelles there we go. Nicolas Pichet in P3 as well. Looks like there's a bit of a mix of an incident in the back. We're seeing Paul Mariage and Colin Edwards, I think, coming together. There's also a McLaren there of Cam Bourne, I believe, got caught up in there. So a couple drivers getting caught in maybe a bit of a sandwich down into Bruxelles, a really tight right-hander going downhill as well. The drivers who are not driving without any ABS have to be super careful on their brakes on that corner, as it could really cause some massive lockups and some incidents here in the race. Most drivers are able to rejoin the race cleanly. I don't see any damage on any of the drivers either. Ryan Newton is trying to run away with this one. He's already 7/10 ahead, but still under slipstream. Quentin K is catching up slowly behind, so he's going to try to stick it with him until DRS is available on lap 3. Stelios Strapas currently P4, so the Alpine of Lucas Jan has lost 3 positions, or 2 positions I should say, from the beginning of the race, and Stelios Strapas, who had an absolutely atrocious race in Singapore, so far starting it off like a bomb here in P4, around La Source they go, and turn 1 and up to Eau Rouge and Ration, uphill left right hand corner there. He doesn't seem to be under. He's going to be vulnerable here. It's not. I don't think he's close enough to Nicolas Pichet, who is currently making an overtake on Quentin K. On board with Quentin. Will he try to make a bit of a dive bomb move? He doesn't. And Ryan Newton has to defend as well from the French Canadian. And so we've got LDL Lightning Nicolas Pichet in reserve for Marc-Olivier Bastien, and so far making that Williams run real good. And what has happened in the back, it is a Ferrari that is around at the Les Combes chicane. No damage there either, so already we got a couple drivers going around, having a little bit of contacts, and we're already seeing the 2 DRS trains splitting up completely, Nathan.
Yes, absolutely. So back into that incident in lap 1, know exactly what happened because of course I was on it. It was Aaron Allmeyer, the Aston Martin, going right into the back of Cam Bourne. That's why Cam Bourne has dropped many positions, spinning him around through the right-hand corner. The downhill hairpin that you said would be very easy to lock up into, and that is exactly what happened for the Aston Martin. Then after that, it was complete panic stations for everyone behind. So that is what happened through that little incident. We have Chad Swindell making up positions after his qualifying ban. He is absolutely flying on his soft tires right now. We'll see if he maybe makes a little brave dive bomb, but he doesn't. So it stays as it is right now. Having an Aston Martin of Aaron Allmeyer going very deep. Does that put the Red Bull of Kyle Blevins onto him? Yes, it does, but will Kyle Blevins be able to do anything about it? He's going to throw it down the inside of La Source, and I think he might have this overtake done, or will he, because Aaron Allmeyer is on his left, and surely they don't go too wide through this corner. Both on the battery, both ready to send it, but the Red Bull just backs out of it. And now he's just going to be a little bit more vulnerable to anyone behind him, but not really because they're so far behind him, behind Kyle Blevins. And we keep looking down the straight. Maxime goes past Freddy Razzle, and now Freddy goes deep, which lets Max kind of get a little creep on him, but He backs out of it, and now Major Castleman is all over the back of Max here. Doesn't do anything about it though. We keep on looking back to see if any action is happening. Not right now. As you said, 2 DRS trains completely split apart, and we know DRS trains are not exactly the best for overtaking action here.
Yeah, it's going to be, so far, if we look at the position changes on the timetables here, Maxime Beaulieu, Hudson Poole already gained 6 positions, as well as Chad Swindell. But so far, a bigger surprise here, the bigger winner is Freddie Rizal, probably because he's been able to avoid incidents, and he's got himself into the wall, and he's gone! That's surely going to be a safety car. I was just about to say Freddie Rizal was racing so good, having gained 10 positions. Will there be a safety car? He is out of the race. Broadcaster's curse strikes again, and that is out for Freddie Rizal, who so far in the Drivers' Championship is pretty much it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad in that regards, and so it is for Paul Mariage and Alfa Romeo again. Getting into situations where they're unable to get any points, and that's going to be another tough one. Hopefully Paul Mariage is able to get back into it, get some positions gained, and get a couple points for Alfa Romeo, because it's probably one of the tougher seasons we've seen from them in a long time here in Division 1. Former Division 1 constructors champion, I should say, from Alfa Romeo back when Eric Cavallo and Marc-Olivier Bastien were in Division 1. And here it is, as a move back on the Haas. So Quinton Kay is going to have to defend from Stellas Repas. Is he able to do it without contact? Here's in Licop's chicane. There is a little bit of contact, just maybe a little bit of a tap. Side by side he goes. Stellas Repas is still on his left-hand side. He's got the inside line down in the Brixell's corner on the tight right-hander. A little bit of lock up here as we can hear it on the tires. But Stellas Repas is going to range himself right behind Quinton Kay here. And Quinton Kay lives to see another lap. This could have been quite a tricky situation there, and because of all that fighting from Stellas Repas, try to overtake Quinton Kay. Well, now he's under fire from Lucas Yan and Hudson Poole, who's got absolute great pace, and that's a 3-second time penalty. Our first driver to get a time penalty is Aaron Altmaier here for track limits, and so that is that going on, Nathan. A lot of battles going on, and we're having a little bit of difficulties catching up with all the battles going on in the middle of the grid. The top 10 and the bottom 10 really having a lot of battles there.
Yes, and Aaron Altmaier is trying to go down the inside of Cal, who had a moment and let his Red Bull teammate by, and now they're going to be side by side. Maybe they'll stick through Blanchimont, but I'm not too sure right now because it's very, very difficult unless you're Max Verstappen, of course. So around the outside goes Aaron Altmaier, does concede the position all the way on his battery though, and he won't have any battery to back him up on these next 2 straights, but for some reason Red Bull goes defensive, and now that won't help him through this next straight, and he has a bit of a moment, the Red Bull. So now on the DRS, will Aaron Altmaier be able to keep it together and make this overtake? It doesn't look like he will be able to. Up further though, we do have a bit of action between Major Castleman and Maxime. Looks like that is ended so far, but Maxime out of the DRS, Major in the DRS of course, and now he's going to be so close behind Aston Martin through Aerosha and Redion, and now onto the straight. He just gaining through these 2 corners, and I don't think Maxime will be able to fight this. And no, Major Castleman goes into P9. But that is all the action so far. But now Hector Ochoa goes past Aaron Altmaier. Very great move from the Alpine, except he was just flying right past him in that Renault-powered Alpine. Something I wanted to mention was the fact that Stelios Repas, who is normally not a very, front-facing contender, he is in P4 and he's keeping with some of the fastest drivers in this league. So very impressive for the AlphaTauri in a point of the season where they really need these points all they can get. And right now his teammate, who's just been overtaken by what is going on. I don't know if you've just seen that with Colin Edwards, but he was definitely airborne. I saw his front wing in the air, still on the car, but that means his whole car was on the air. So I have no idea what to say. I just switched to him. I was just about to say how he's doing a good job of just trying to stay within this backpack, but no. I saw him being overtaken by Johannes Ludwig, and then he was in the air, so
maybe he was taking the term flying lap a little bit too literal there.
Yeah, on his medium tires, I don't think that... Oh, Maxime is out of the session, and he's out in Blanchimont, and that's a full safety.
He's done. It is a full safety car. So that is 2 drivers completely losing it out on their rears, and that is not a... I wonder what happened for him to lose it in Blanchimont. I don't know if it's... the tire wear is very high here in Spa, and already Maxime Beaulieu is just not on track anymore, but we saw from his teammates' point of view the carcass of that Aston Martin sideways on the road, and that is a full safety car and that will definitely affect a little bit of the tire strategies. That's a good, it's a good call for those the soft runners who are now switching to probably mediums, so that Chad Swindell going on hards as well. So really interesting. Some guys going on hards, and now we're on lap 6. We're definitely not going to be racing up before lap 8, I would assume. And with impending doom, with the rain coming, and we're looking at rain possibly going up at 80%. From what I'm looking at, it's really looking at it's going to be really wet. I don't know if we're going to hit full wet conditions, but we're going to be just on the cups of full wets if those predictions come true. And the more we wait, the more the rain predictions are coming true from what I'm seeing, using the telemetry and all the tools that every driver here has. And that is Hector Ochoa for speeding under safety car. So that's going to be a 5-second time penalty. The next time he goes into pits, which he will, he's going to have to wait 5 seconds, and not going to have the opportunity to call that back post-race either. So, wow, a lot of silly mistakes that we're seeing here in Division 1. Great racing from the top drivers so far. Ryan Newton kept his lead the entirety of the race, since the beginning, since lap 1, so he's really having a great race. Nicolas Pichet showing us that he's got the pace to be up there with the fast ones. He's really on par with Marc-Henri Bastein's pace so far this season that he's been showing us, P2 being his favorite spot. Quentin K losing a position. Stella Strappass has gained a lot of positions. Had a good qualifying and gained a couple positions, and is now sitting P4 in front of Lucas Yan, Hudson Poole in P6. And now we're seeing the front runners going to the pits this time, and so Ryan Newton is being followed by everybody down to P6. So I don't know if it's because they didn't have time to pit, but they're going to do so right now. So that it's not going to jumble up the order too much, I think. We're going to see what it gives. Will it? Because I'm trying to see what the other drivers... Oh yeah, look at that. Major Castleman and Hector Ochoa who are not pitting. That's a bit of an interesting call, though.
And Marcel Pabst. It was actually pit on the last lap, so that will explain that. But I have some news, and it will not be kind to the ears of Red Bull team principal Duncan McCamick, because it means that a driver that in Division 1 looked so like he had so much potential, it only gets worse. And so with the incident with Maxime, it was none other than Chad Swindell who hit Maxime from behind and spun him out into a wall on a straight. So not only did he take out someone last race, he's done it again this race. So if the penalty is the same as it was last time, I believe that he will be up to 6 penalty points, which could potentially put him in a race ban situation. But right now he's just going to have to do what he did last time out. He's going to have to keep racing and race as hard as he can, and just try and benefit as much as he can on track, and try not to take too much of a fall off track.
Yeah, we'll have to look at how it happened, especially especially in regards to the evidence, and that incident between Sweeney G, as they call it, Chad Swindell, who's currently sitting in P12 on the grid. The incidents that last week in Singapore was reviewed and looked at in the steward's room. We took maybe a proper 20-25 minutes reviewing all the evidence, and then it went into appeal, and a lot of discussion and looking at the rules and whatnot was made throughout the entire process, which was properly respected. It was deemed a 10-second time penalty with 2 penalty points, given the fact that he had DNF'd a driver. So if you hit a driver and it is the cause of the DNF, it automatically falls onto a major collision kind of penalty. Obviously, the penalty could be anywhere between 1 penalty point to 5 and to more than that. It could be a lot more, depending on how severe the collision is, and a minimum of 5 seconds normally under these kind of circumstances. We didn't catch it on broadcast. I didn't see it per se. This is just what we're hearing in the paddock, mainly from Maxime Beaulieu, so I assume that's going to be ticketed and looked at in due time. But for now, we're going to go back into racing, and that'll be looked at. But Chad Swindell is already sitting on 5 points of penalty this season, and this is round 4. And so he's averaging so far 5 penalty points in 3 races. And so for a driver who's trying to battle for the drivers' championship, who's got the potential to be battling for the drivers' championship, if what is said is true, then we've got to ask ourselves: is the pressure getting to him and causing these mistakes, which is causing some DNFs on the grid? But so far, we've only heard it from Max and Beaulieu. We haven't seen it, so we'll look into it as is. And for your information, Nathan, yes, 6 penalty points. We look at potential race ban, but very, very, very rarely have I seen a race ban given for 6 penalty points. It's usually an optional. However, the race ban will come at 8 penalty points, and it is 12 for a season ban, which we've only seen. I don't know if it's once or twice officially, but a driver in Division 3 had claimed enough penalty points, I think, last season to have his season ban there. So
I don't think he has to be named, but I might be wrong here. I believe the other man who had a season ban is the man we're looking at in P2. I do remember there's plenty of going on with Ryan Newton at one point. I remember there was an incident where he was doing donuts in the back straight of Suzuka. There's plenty of other incidents he was going through. But either way, he's climbed back majorly from where he was, and now he's got to face the actual major in this league. So I don't know what his strategy was, Major Castleman here. We have that barrier on the left absolutely flying around. I don't know if you see that, but I do. But safety car in this lap, so it'll be Ryan Newton who looked to really just take Major out, not literally, but just take him out of the equation of the race win, so he can just carry on with his race and potentially win this race. Behind him, Nicolas Bichet. I mean, I think he could also win this. He has been quick almost the entire race, so could be impressive from him. Everyone other than Major has pit for either mediums, hards, or soft tires, as it goes with, your dry tires. So we got on board with Ryan Newton now to see when will Major Castleman take this across the line to restart, and it looks like he's gone now.
And it's going to be important to see the difference in tire performance between Major and Ryan Newton. And Major is trying to kind of slow the pace a little bit out of that corner, and Ryan's already keeping up with him pretty well. I don't think Major's going to have much of the advantage here, especially maybe if you're Ryan Newton, you kind of want to stay behind him. And Major Castleman just had a little bit of a moment, so his medium tires are maybe not up to temp properly. And maybe if he even has to lift a little bit here, and Ryan Newton's going to be all over in here. With the stream, you see he's got the higher top speed, goes on his right hand side down to Kemmel Straight, and that is back on P1 for Ryan Newton, although Major Castleman probably has the lower downforce because he's right side by side, and oh, that is so close, and they're fighting it really hard, much harder than Ryan Newton initially thought it would have been. He actually got through, though. Major Castleman did a really good job at keeping it clean. Had he gone a little bit further down the line on the second part of Lacombe chicane, he could have made contact with Ryan Newton, and Ryan, absolutely a fearless driver, as we were talking earlier with the number of penalty points he once had in a season. He's a driver who's not afraid of just going at it, and he's going to use Major Castleman as a buffer to Nicolas Pichet. And so now it'll be up to Pichet to do the overtake as quick as possible, and he does. Into the campus corners, down into turn 16 he goes, and so Pichet makes quick work of Major Castleman here, and it's going to be Castleman looking backwards more than looking forwards. And Nathan, look at the clouds. We've got overcast conditions currently, and that's going to go on for a couple laps until the rain comes. The rain seems to... the rain conditions are really changing a little bit, and there's almost a contact between Marcel Paps and Major Castleman. Down on the inside, Castleman's going to try to defend. Is he able to defend cleanly? He's keeping making a major pack with a bunch of other cars, and everybody, and that's a car that's completely out. Is that Quentin K? I don't know if there's contact or just a spin. And is that a virtual safety car? It is. It's a virtual safety car. Quentin K was into the wall he goes. I don't know if it was from contact or just from oversteer, but that is a wingless Haas. Quentin K was having a really good race so far, and that's putting him completely in the back of the pack. Now you're kind of praying that the rain comes sooner than later if you're Quentin K, kind of hoping it starts dropping down so you could have maybe the upper hand on the pit stops here. But Now we're going to see how long this virtual safety car lasts, and it's not going to last for the entirety of the lap. So it helps Quentin K, but he's going to have to do a portion of this lap without any wings, and that just makes it much more difficult, especially here in Belgium.
Yeah, happening at the worst part of the lap that it could possibly happen at this incident. But if this was a full safety car, call me crazy if you want to, but I would throw on some soft tires because I was actually about to say intermediate tires, but I was thinking if the rain won't stay for too long, then the intermediates won't really do their thing. But if you throw on a new set of soft tires, you'll just have so much of a better chance on the little slick, the slick track, I should say, until it gets dry, and that should last you until the end of the race. But it's not a full safety car, so virtual safety car still going on a bit longer than you would normally expect it to, but this only helps Major Castleman right now. It's just a little bit longer, and Ryan Newton gets a drive-through penalty. In P1, he will drop definitely all the way down to the end of the grid, if not a little bit ahead of Hector Cho, who pits himself. But like I was saying, this only helps Major Castleman because it is 1 second longer, whatever he needs for not to get overtaken, and this was the strategy. He's going to try and wait out until the rain comes to make his pit stop, and he will stay in the position he's in right now. We have a little bit of a fight here. It's Ryan Newton goes into the pits for his penalty, and DRS is enabled as it should be. And now we look back at the drivers such as Hudson Poole, Tadeusz Repas, Lucas Jan, who have all benefited from this, who are all still in potential podium position taking here. So we look on board. Let's see who would be mostly in an overtaking position. It would be Hudson Poole right now. So we'll see if he can do anything. He knows that the car ahead of him has worse tires than he does. Doesn't look like he's going on the battery though. So his soft tires can only take him so far if the straight line isn't there to make an overtake, and that is very evident indeed. Through the corners he's absolutely blazing, but on the straight he can just not get it done. But he might be fancying an overtake through one of these corners here. He does try and sneak up the inside just to a little scare the McLaren away, but he hasn't done so. So we keep looking at Hudson Poole. I mean, he's sticking through these corners very nicely, sliding in right behind the McLaren. And now the other McLaren, I have to say, Cam Bourne, making up plenty of positions now into P9. So 3 and 9 is definitely something I can't complain about as a McLaren team principal. But how long will that last, as we have Mercedes and Hudson absolutely all over the back of Major Castleman, and it looks like he could even go side by side through these next couple of corners. But if anything, it will definitely be a move through the bus-up chicane, as he has a huge moment out of the right-hand corner right behind the McLaren, almost soaring into the back of him. So don't want to get too close through Blanchimont, or it will happen how it did with Chad Twindella and Maxime. But now he's going to try around the outside, will the Mercedes, and he'll have the inside line for the next part of this chicane, and around the outside now. It will be a clean move, and now Major has an AlphaTauri for company inside of him, so while he could have been going for the switchback, he couldn't do so because there was a car right inside of him. So now into turn 1, will he be challenged by Tadeusz Repas? Yes, he will, but can he keep it in front? It looks like he will be able to. We have a caution in sector 1. That looks like a McLaren. No, of Cam Bourne. And it is, he has no front wing, the McLaren. So this is a virtual safety car once again, and I have no idea what could have happened there. And
I'm wondering if he got some grass on braking, because that is in the braking area going into La Source, and so it looks like he may have caught some grass trying to get, you know, the right line going into turn 1, or there was contact with somebody else, and we just missed it because he was side by side, I believe, with where was he at? He was closer, I think, to Paul Mariage at that point. And that's a very short virtual safety car compared to the first one we had, where most drivers got halfway through the lap. And so virtual safety car is already over. And unfortunately for Cam Bourne, he's going to have to go around the lap also without a wing on. And so similarly to Quinn and Kay, and the grid's kind of a little bit upside down. We're seeing quick drivers their races are going backwards, losing a lot of positions in comparison to their qualifying position. Other drivers who are a lot higher up than their qualifying pace showed. Marcel Paps is now sitting in P2 comfortably, a little ways away from Hudson Poole, but Hudson Poole's got great pace. We saw that overtake. He took full advantage of the fact that Major Castleman had worn tires down in the bus stop chicane, and had a really great overtake, clean as well. And that is why Hudson Poole is on the top of the Division 1 leaderboards for the championship. And so what we're observing right now as these drivers continue to battle, continue to make way and try to survive, their tires being worn out because Belgium is really demanding on tire wear here this season. What we're really staring at is the skies, and we should be having the first drops within the next 5 minutes. And
Right now.
yeah, I think, yeah, we're actually starting it right now. So within the next 5 minutes, well, 5 seconds, I should have said. And it should be raining considerably for the next 15 minutes. And so I think that might carry us, depending of obviously on safety cars and virtual safety cars, as the race pace has been slowed down a little bit. We might be seeing full inters conditions. Initially, we were thinking it might go to full wet, maybe. I'm not sure how true that is because the conditions tend to change regularly on the telemetry as well. But right now we're in raining conditions, and it's just a matter of time. And we're going to see when DRS is going to be disabled and which driver is going to try to go on the intermediates first. And that's a difficult call to make. I remember a couple seasons back, and he's not here tonight, but it was Eric Cavallo who was one of the first drivers to go into inters when there was just the first raindrops. And given that, Spa is a very long track, it could be one conditions when you go into La Source in turn 1, and a completely different conditions when you go around the bus stop chicanes in turns 19 and 20. And so that could be an interesting thing to look at, where drivers might go a little earlier than expected for the intermediates, given that the rain conditions allow them. But right now we've got full rain going on, but the track is not soaked up enough to call it intermediate, so it'll be another lap on soft tires, or dry tires, I should say, on the slicks, depending on which driver is going on. I'm not seeing anybody diving into the pits, and I don't expect anybody to go diving into the pits as of now.
Yeah, I think this will be one of the few last easy overtaking opportunities for drivers like Hudson Poole and Lucas Jan. So first we'll go on board with Hudson Poole, but we will look backwards for the Alpine to maybe get past Elias Rappas here. So Hudson Poole not on the battery, on the DRS still, and he won't be able to make an overtake at this rate.
Oh.
But Lucas Jan has, and he will. And past also goes Major Castleman, and there's a DNF for Chad Swindell. He's gone off at the straight. That has to be contact, surely, but he is off on the grass on the right side of the Kemmel Straight, and there will be no safety car for that incident. We look around to see if there's any cars with damage that could have caused that, but what could it have possibly been to put Chad Swindell off? And that is very similar to an incident I remember you commentated and I partook in between me and Marino all the way back in 2021. And he crashed in that exact same position, and it was due to contact, so I wonder what could have happened there. But either way, there's only one Red Bull left in this session, and he's trying to make a move on Major Castleman right now.
Yeah, it'll be something worth watching in the paddock, and so even more, another ticket to be looked at probably if there was contact. I was saying earlier, I wasn't expecting anybody to go pitting for the Inters. Colin Edwards in the AlphaTauri has done so, currently sitting P15. So really depending, is it, if it could work or not for him, we'll see, because if you do it a little too early, those intermediate tires are maybe absolutely cooking. And one thing I noticed in our Division 2 race, and I was apparently one of the drivers who had the lower tire wear, but it was around 10% a lap in regards to tire wear on intermediates in wet conditions. And so you might see a couple drivers. Oh, there's another retirement, this time Major Castleman.
Major.
Where has that happened? He's in the pits, it looks like.
In the pit lane. He retired right when he got into the pit lane. What happened?
Oh, and there's another car in the back that's completely off track. And who is that? Was that? That is Colin Edwards, who's completely gone off, completely destroyed one of the braking markers. What is going on? A lot more DNFs than we were expecting. Major Castleman seemed to be retired in the pits, and so not a conventional retirement as we're used to seeing, and his AI decided to go take a stroll, back on track. So I don't know if Major Castleman just decided to, and he looked like he was having a decent race. Was that a rage quit, or was that just something else? I don't know if he had damage, or if maybe he was involved with the situation with Chad Swindell, as I believe they were somewhat close to each other, up on the Kemmel Straight. So maybe that's related, maybe it is not. We'll find out. But yeah, already 4 DNFs. Well, I say already. Look at this. We're already at 15 laps. So this race is going by really quick. And Spa-Francorchamps being one of my favorite tracks, this is kind of race where I would not mind going 100% on, but with the changing conditions as a driver, it's definitely difficult. All in all, Nathan, it's still Nicolas Pichet in P1. Hudson Poole has climbed up to P2 despite having a 5 grid place penalty. I don't even want to imagine how it's going to look like if he didn't have that penalty. Marcel Paps in P3. Lucas Jan in the Alpine P4. Stelios Repas still showing great pace in P5. Max in the Haas, the second driver in the Haas, trying to recover for Haas given the Quinn and K's situation earlier, having to recover from an incident. And still, so far, it is drizzling. We're not in wet tire conditions completely, although we're probably just at the cups of it, as Kyle Blevins, Hector Ochoa are the two newest drivers to go back into intermediate conditions, and so I think we're expecting it to get a little bit wetter in the next couple minutes, and we'll see how that fares. But so far, I think the soft tires are probably a little quicker, although they're getting worn down, and so that might be why some drivers are doing the switch to the intermediate wet tires.
Yeah, and right now it doesn't look like it could be anything worse than softs. I mean, at the top of this hill, there's barely any rain that I can see. I'm trying to get the information out of Major Castleman now, what happened with that retirement. And okay, so he took out Swinney, so that's what happened to Chad Swindell, and he felt it was only fair he retires the car, so I mean, I can respect that. Not going to get us much points today, but if you feel like you're doing the most, the best thing in terms of morale, then, or not morale, ethics-wise, I mean, I can respect that, so good on Major Castleman, and we continue. So, drivers that will struggle the most right now, I think, would be the hard tire runners and the medium tire runners right now. I mean, even the soft tire runners, it might just be miserable for everyone on the track right now. I'm trying to keep track of these intermediate gaps between drivers like Kyle Blevins and Kenny LaFleur, but it hasn't changed in a while for me at least. I'm just trying to see if the intermediates will be the right tire, and Hudson Poole goes into the pits from the soft tires. So will that be 4 intermediate tires? We will look
probably
into the Mercedes garage, and yes, I see green walls on those tires, so into the pits, and Max also into the pits. We have a Colin Edwards backwards all the way in the back of the field, back on track now on the intermediate tires, so I wonder if that's because of tires, if it's because of too much throttle. Maybe these tires aren't good to go just yet, but we will have to see if Hudson Poole can make it happen. In front of him is Aaron Altmaier right now, and it'll just be, is that an Alpine around? Is that Hector Ochoa also on the intermediate tires? And actually, as we're talking about that, we have an overtake for P2 between Lucas Jan and Marcel Papp, so Lucas flying past the Ferrari, and I have to wonder what happened there, because Marcel was quite a bit ahead of the Alpine driver as of a lap ago, but now it is completely flipped around. And now Lucas will set his sights on P1, so 2 reserve drivers might be fighting for the win here today.
Yeah, and it's going to be another pit stop for Zesty stop Hector Ochoa, and Quinn and K also loses a position. We got a virtual safety car, by the way. I was just about to say, Quinn and K was overtaken by Ryan Newton, and so we're probably seeing better pace on the intermediates than on the slicks now. I'm wondering what caused that virtual safety car. I mean, it's just like somebody that went off, probably there was some debris, and that triggered it. I can't see who it was, however, and well, that is what it is. Probably a bit of a contact or something happened. Normally it would be debris. I don't know if it's Colin Edwards, because right now he's back into the pits. I think he just used up about 3 intermediate tires in a matter of 3 laps, so eventually he's going to get it right and keep the car on track, pointing the right way, hopefully, and get back with the pack. He's put himself in a position where he's about, 10-15 seconds of getting overlapped. Stelios Repas P4 is the next driver going to the pit stop, and that's probably a good timing for him, given that we're still under virtual safety car conditions. So this is a longer virtual safety car. For a second, I thought it was ending, but it is not
That is soft
yet.
tires.
Is he going back
That
on
is
soft
soft
tires?
tires.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's going
right.
back on soft tires. So
And I have to say, that's exactly what I would do, because
Yeah.
now we have DRS enabled, and it is drying up. Okay, maybe there is a bit of rain in turn 1, but I have to say, that is, what I have to say, that's a correct strategy right now. He completely new soft tires, he only has more grip, and I don't think intermediates are the right call just yet, but the soft tires are definitely going to have a bit more grip than what he had before, and he was doing okay before. So, great call, I have to say, from the AlphaTauri Stelios Repus, but now what can he do with his new soft tires? How far can he get after making a pit stop? Because he has the Aston Martin of Arnold Meyer right in front of him, and I have to say he's gaining rather quickly, and he's already in the DRS, which is enabled once again. So, I remember seeing that the rain would actually lighten up again near the end of the race.
Yep.
So that might be the good call here.
That might
onto the
not
soft tires.
happen given the fact that there were safety cars and multiple virtual safety cars. We might, like, if it does end, it might just end around lap 21 or 22. So yeah, it's very mixed conditions, and I'm trying to find a gap. Maybe we're looking at Paul Mariage here in P8 and the Alfa Romeo and Max in the Haas. So we've got fresh softs versus fresh inters, and it's about 1.2 seconds. 1.3 seconds, and wow, 1.4, and in the corners, clearly, it seems like the soft tires, as you're explaining, Nathan, has the better grip. So it's working, and Stelios Repus makes an overtake on Aaron Altmaier for P5. Now all the drivers in front, we're looking, I mean, is it worth noting, and I don't know if he's getting closer to puncture territory, but Nicolas Bichet's got 12 lap old soft tires in mixed kind of wet conditions. I mean, I'm wondering how he's still keeping his car on track. I definitely don't have the skill level he has, but he's out there. We'll see in the intervals how he is faring against Lucas Yan and Marcel Paps, 3 drivers with 3 different tires, all on similar tire laps, and their tire wear is probably quite high. Hudson Pool makes a move on Aaron Altmaier as well. So Aaron Altmaier 12 lap old hards is not really the tires to go so far. Hudson Pool making his inters work. See if Hudson Pool could keep up or catch up and getting by Stelios Repus, so 2 drivers who are also on different tire strategies. I think honestly, Nathan, at this point, and I don't know if the rain is just getting worse or not, because it's a bit of a... I'm having a bit of trouble reading the telemetry, seeing if it's gonna get much lighter or not. But it's gonna be at least this for the next 5 minutes. I mean, at this point, is it really an advantage for the soft tires, or is it really a choice between stability versus I'll take a risk with soft tires at this point?
I mean, I'd say the soft tires are definitely the call here. I mean, we can see just the slick tire runners are much faster than the intermediates right now, so I think it was a good call from Stelios Repus, as I've said so much before, but we have drivers in the back still like Paul Mariage, Camborne, and Quinton Kay, all on the slick tires who are looking to gain a bit of time, but with drivers like Quinton Kay, I mean, he's going to have to pull out some stellar laps if he wants to even gain one position. My gaps in terms of interval aren't really working right now, but at least for the top 3 they are. So we'll go on board with Marcel Paps, and he's just inching towards this Alpine. But with his tires, I feel like he might just be slower. Going onto the battery and now the DRS a little bit, I don't know if he's trying to go for an overtake here. Either way, the track is looking a bit slicker, I have to say, so we might be looking into a situation where the inters just get a bit more favorable as it goes on. The track definitely a lot more greasy than before, but I think the soft tires will just be able to hang on for a bit longer. Stelios Repus is now getting closer to the Ferrari of Johannes Ludwig, who I have to say, it is impressive to be in P4 right now after where he started. I mean, where did he start? He started P9, but I remember he was at the back at one point, and now he's all the way back at the front, so good job from him, but I don't think they'll stay in P4 for long, as AlphaTauri tries to go around the outside, and what a clean move from the AlphaTauri back into P4, and now he has 12 seconds to gain, doing a little wiggle of celebration in the AlphaTauri, and goes wide immediately after, so maybe a bit of karma for him. But either way, great job from the soft tire runner. But now Hudson Pool is also closing up to the back of Johannes Ludwig, so I wonder, are old slicks just not the way to go anymore? We'll have to look at the top 3 and just see if they can hold it out for much longer. Lucas Jan now closing up to the back of Nicolas Bichet. So in these next couple laps here, right now about 4/10 the gap, and now DRS down this straight and the next. Will we see an overtake between these 2 reserve drivers for the lead of the race and potentially a race win? or could Marcel perhaps pull something out of his back pocket? Like you said before, Nicolas Boucher, to be on these soft tires for so long and not have a puncture or at least any sign of massive degradation is impressive. But through these next couple of corners will be very crucial to see if he can keep his line well and quick as well.
It's not going to
So
happen,
Lucas
Nathan.
Young-
He's not able to keep it up. He's lost about 1.5 seconds and just about half a lap. I don't know if it's a puncture or just his tires completely giving out, but it's going to be Lucas Jan in the Alpine doing the overtake under DRS in the Kemmel Straight for P1. Lucas Jan, and in the back, Marcel Paps is going to try to do the same thing for P2. And so now suddenly we're looking at Nicolas Pichet, who's looking backwards, and there's somebody else. There's a sector flag in the back. I believe that's Quentin K. And indeed, Haas is having a difficult weekend this weekend compared to Singapore, and Quentin K unfortunately has another spin. He won't do any better than P14. Back on the top 3 here, we're going to keep an eye on Marcel Paps. You know, he's got that 3-second time penalty. Let me just confirm that is 3 seconds. It is. And so if he does get past Nicolas Pichet, he's going to have to kind of run away with it. But let's not forget, both him and Lucas Jan also have very worn tires. I think the hards are going to be faring a little bit better here in these mixed conditions. I don't think Hudson Pool with the Inters is going to have the chance to catch up to these drivers. However, with just a little over a lap to go, we're about to start our final lap soon. Lucas Jan has already put 2 seconds up ahead between him and Nicolas Pichet, and Marcel Paps also makes the move, working Blanchiment. We said it before, Nicolas Pichet, his tires are not working out for him anymore whatsoever. Marcel Paps really used a lot of ERS though to do the make the overtake, and DRS is still active, by the way. A telling tale for what conditions is when they deactivate DRS. And there's also a driver in the back, I think that's Paul Mariage, who had a moment coming out of Paul Frère there, and Marcel Paps is going to try to be running away with it. Is Nicolas Pichet? Oh, he's got a flat! Nicolas Pichet, his rear tires, he's got a puncture. We were wondering if that could happen. His rear left tires completely shredding his car as we speak in these really interesting conditions, and now suddenly his podium is slipping away. He's on the ERS. He's trying to get top end speed here as much as he can. It's not working for him. He's gonna try to go through Les Combes. Will he be able to even get braking? And he can't. He's completely around on Les Combes. Through goes Celios Repas. Through goes Hudson Pool and Johannes Ludwig. Will he be able to get back into this? I don't think he is. He is parked it. He's safely rejoining the track, and so he's tumbling down the order here. Oh my goodness, look at this Pichet. 15-lap-old soft tires in these conditions. He is now P8, and he's going to go even further back as we've got drivers coming up behind him at full speed. He's moving out of the way, doing the right thing. That is so unfortunate for him. P2 was just there for him, and that's going to be it for his race. However, let's keep an eye on, I think Marcel Paps also had a bit of a moment, where unless it was just Jan that is running away with it. And so here it is, through Blanchiment he goes. Lucas Jan, he's going to get his first win in his first race as a reserve driver for Eric Cavallo in the Alpine. We were told he was quick, we were told he had the potential to be esports speed, and he's shown it tonight. Lucas Jan takes his first win here in Spa at the Belgian Grand Prix. Lucas Jan takes P1. Marcel Paps, what a race from him. Ferrari is back on the podium. It's P2 for him. Celios Repas, AlphaTauri side by side with Hudson Pool. It's a little bit of a drag race, and he gets the podium. P3 for him. Hudson Pool, P4 for Mercedes. A great recovery race despite that 5th place grid penalty. Johannes Ludwig, look at this, 17-lap-old medium tires. Ferrari, an exciting weekend for them in Division 1. It's P2 and P5, a lot of points for them. That's definitely going to affect the Constructors' Championship through to the next round. Aaron Altmaier, P6. Max in the Haas, another reserve driver, is P7. Ryan Newton, who had set himself up for a win, unfortunately with a driving under safety car, speeding under the safety car conditions, penalty, that puts him P8. Par Mariage kind of shuffles back into the top 10 here with the Alfa Romeo as the two AIs of the cars are having a little bit of a bouncing match. Kenny Lafleur, P10, another reserve driver who's done a lot better than P20 or P18 or whatever that was from Division 2. probably worked a little bit on his setup, and so he's got P10 of that Williams, another second reserve driver for Williams there. Cam Bourne P11, Cobb Levins P13, P12, sorry, Quentin Kaysen P13, and finally we see him here limping home. Oh, how sad does this view look for this Williams. LDL Lightning Nicolas Pichet with the puncture, unable to bring it home on the last lap of the race. P14 for him. Whew. Are those a P14 person? I did not see the rest of the order there. I believe that was Colin Edwards, actually, who brought it home. Driver today goes to Kenny LaFleur. Nathan, I need a breather here. What are your thoughts on this exciting end?
Well, definitely an exciting end. And like you said, I mean, at the end, there was plenty of drivers that we expected to be up higher that just did not finish where we thought they would. I mean, some of them didn't even finish at all. I mean, big drivers like Chad Swindell, I mean, we expected him to maybe be fighting at the front, but no, he's DNF'd, and he's also caused someone else to DNF. Maxime, he's all the way down in the DNF range as well. And Lucas Jan, I mean, a reserve driver winning the race. I mean, absolutely great job from him. And then the other reserve driver, maybe not so lucky. But definitely a very great race. I mean, this just shows how good of racing classical tracks like Spa, and especially with mixed conditions, that just shows how much they can provide in terms of racing action. But we look through the order now. So Lucas Jan, of course, winning the race. Behind him was Marcel Pabst. Then Stelios Repbus came across the line just 2 tenths clear of Hudson Poole. Then behind him is Johannes Ludwig in P5, good recovery from him. Then Aaron Altmaier in P6, Max P7, Ryan Newton P8, P9 goes to Paul Mariage after still spinning on one of the penultimate laps, I think it was, and coming back from it. Then Kenny LaFleur goes P10, Cam Bourne 11th, 12th goes to Cal, then Quentin K is in 13th, then of course a man with the puncture, and Nicolas Pichet is P14, and then P15 goes to Colin Edwards. After him, all DNFs. It starts with Hector Ochoa, then Mitch Castleman, then Chad Swindell, then Maxime, then Freddie Rezel.
Wow, really exciting, and I think in the paddocks already, the discussions, a lot of congratulations going to Stelios Repbus. We're going to have the opportunity to have him first in the booth to discuss with us his podium, Marcel Pabst as well, having this P2 by bringing Ferrari back on the podium. And if I just look real quick on the, actually, let's go with both. I'm looking at the constructors, having Ferrari at 71 points. A little bit on the lower midfield. That's probably going to give him a lot of points, having a P2 and P5, and so maybe even going in front of Haas there. So I'm expecting them to go P3, P4. Sadly for Red Bull, as you were mentioning, you know, with Chad Swindell being involved in two incidents, both as the offender and the defender. Unfortunately, is not going to bring in any points home, or barely, and so. That is really going to be exciting for this in that regards. And so let's see, let's go into our interview booth and get these drivers ready in the waiting room. We should be having them with us in just a moment. I'm seeing you're already doing your homework and getting them with us. So we'll just wait here for a little moment, see where they fare.
See if
I think Stelios is going to be the first one. Yeah.
Yep.
He's not used to being here with us. It's going to be really fun to speak with him. I think for a first time for me, despite, you know, doing some broadcasts in the other divisions as well. And, you know, last weekend, Stelios had, you know, kind of a off moment. I remember we were talking about it, how chose the worst moment to do an overtake and essentially DNF'd himself. And then here in Belgium, looks like he put a lot of time to practice, or if it's one of his favorite tracks that he's really, really comfortable with. We're going to be able to ask him those questions in just a second here. Nathan Doan, let's bring him our P3 driver here, Stelios Repbus. Stelios, welcome to the booth. It's a podium for you after a horrific race in Singapore. How are you feeling tonight? Maybe he's got to find the mute button on his mic.
Amazing insight from Celius Trapas here.
I think he's speechless, Nathan.
I would be too after such a great podium. We'll give him just a little bit more time.
Yeah, let's go. Let's give him a little moment there. Let me see if we could, if he's even aware. Yeah, I mean he is. Well, he's responding, so I figure he's just getting his mic fixed up, maybe plugged in. I don't know. We'll give him a couple minutes here.
He can't hear us.
It might be Discord. I know
maybe-
Discord sometimes has little glitches, so. What I suggest, Nathan, let's let Stelios come back in a later moment, and bring in Marcel Paps, who is on. Oh, he's on PlayStation. Well, it shouldn't really change anything.
Oh, he says wait. A little
says
bit
wait.
of suspense for this
Yeah.
interview. Hopefully
Eventually,
it's a
we
good
get
one.
it. I think everybody's just really curious to see his commentary.
Oh, and he decides he has had enough.
Well, he went to the waiting room, so I guess he'll run some tests there.
We'll try then get Marcel Pabst into the booth.
Yep, let's move it on. Let's get Marcel Paps into the booth. Well, he is
Here
here
we go.
already, our P2 finisher. Marcel Paps, you bring Ferrari finally back on the podium. How does it feel tonight?
Razzi, Forza Ferrari. It's great to be back. Yeah. Bro, those last laps in the wets are... I mean, it's different from the last game, but still, it was... I'm sweating all over my body.
Yeah, so, I mean, with all the action at the very end, right? I mean, of course, we had Nicolas Bichet he had a puncture at the very end. I think you had already passed him at that time. But just with the mixed conditions and it just getting a little bit slippery at the end and you had the best tires, I mean, what's going through your mind? Do you think maybe just keep it cautious and hope the person in front of you spins out, or are you just trying to go for the on-track overtakes and really make it happen by yourself?
Like, before the safety car pit stop, I knew that softs won't make it if we would have stayed out on the dry tires in the wet, so I choose the mediums to make it safely to the end, and yeah, I knew if I'm gonna keep it on track, yeah, the 3-second time penalty was unlucky, I would say, but still, if would have doesn't matter, so I knew that the mediums would have easily made it hard, would be a little bit trickier to drive, but I think I made the right call with the medium tires.
Marcel, we had tricky situations. It wasn't just for you, it was also for your teammate Johannes Ludwig. It's a great Division 1 result for both you and your teammate going P2 and P5. What explains this result? Johannes Ludwig had an incident early in the race and came back all the way to P5. Is it just the extra practice? What's the triggering effect for such a result here this weekend?
Yeah, before the race I gave Johannes a different setup, which he very liked, and before I gave him the setup he was like on a different option, which was a little bit worse for him. So I gave him the setup and he was a little bit faster, a little bit more stable, and yeah, he got hit on the first laps, but still it was a great recovery from him. And mostly in Division 1, if you keep it out of the danger and drive safely, overtake safely, like my overtake on Major Castleman, you can bring home some pretty good points, as in an example of Johannes.
Really interesting insight here from Marcel Paps, the Ferrari team principal. Marcel, thank you for your interview. Congratulations again on P2, and hopefully in 2 weeks in Zandvoort you could get another similar result as this one.
Yeah, hopefully, and thank you for casting.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Alright, thank you.
And see ya.
So
Alright.
now I think our P3 man, Stelios Repos, is ready. I've asked Lucas if he wants to do an interview, but he hasn't responded. So we will bring in Mr. Oh, okay.
You were just
The
about
minute the minute I move him into the broadcast, he disappears. So not sure what happened there.
Let me see. I've tagged him. We'll try to get him in here.
Okay,
He's not.
here we go.
Oh.
It's happened again. They don't want him here. I don't know who it is that is not letting him into the interview booth.
Yeah, I don't know, because I know Stelios is on the PlayStation, so I believe with the crossplay and whatnot. Now he's trying to go through it on his phone. We should get something interesting there in just a minute, but just keeping an eye on.
I'm just gonna ask him if he can give
Yeah.
me a few sentences to sum up his race. How about we move into the interview room? Because if, I mean,
Well, I've got
Oh, here
Stelios
you go.
Rapas in here.
There we
'Cause,
go.
there you go. After a little bit of trial and error, probably he's just not used to being on a podium here. Stelios Rapas, Division 1, your P3 after not so much of a good race in Singapore, where I will admit fully calling you a Division 3 driver with a certain move there. Now you come back here and you do quite an exciting performance here. Walk us through your race and how you're feeling tonight.
Well, I mean, yeah, I was kind of frustrated after the race last weekend because I had a good pace, but I mean, bad choices. Anyways, today was another day, and qualifying was okay. I had a very good start at the beginning, and I kind of tried to stick with the guys in front. I knew that they're a lot quicker, but somehow I managed to be as close as possible. And then it's all about the strategy. I mean, I knew that at some point it's gonna rain, so I went to a second pair of mediums, and yeah, at the end I was lucky that there was a virtual safety car, so I pitted for the softs, and yeah, pretty much that's it.
yeah, so when you pitted for those soft tires, were you aware that, you know, you could be potentially losing out from where you were before, or did you just have the confidence that you'd be able to regain all the time that you had lost in the pit stop? And did you ever think that you had the podium?
No, not at the podium. I thought that I'm gonna get fourth position because I didn't know that the Williams was on 15 lap soft tires. So yes, I knew that I'm gonna get a couple places back, and I knew that it was about the crossover from the slicks to the intermediates, but I knew that the rain is not gonna keep going. So I just, yeah, it was a 50-50 decision. I was like, let's go for the softs and see what's happening.
Really interesting insight there, Stelios. You're bringing a lot of points into Alpha Tauri, who's not having quite a good season so far in Division 1.
Yeah.
Are you thinking this could be the turnaround point?
Well, since I turned off the assist, it's been like a roller coaster. At some tracks I'm pretty fast, and some others I'm not. So, I mean, I kind of like this calendar. So yeah, I think it should be fine. I'm gonna get some more points for sure.
Definitely, you set yourself up for more success in the future races, Stelios. We've got Zandvoort coming up in 2 weeks. We'll see how AlphaTauri fares in that race after our off week we're going to be having. Stelios, congratulations again for that P3 finish.
Thank you.
And we'll see you hopefully again this season in the broadcast booth.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Stelios, and good night. We're going to bring him out back into the rating room. That is great. All right, Nathan. So for some reason, I don't.
John.
Is there a? We're seeing Zandvoort August 27th. So next week we're not racing. Is there a American holiday I'm missing?
Oh, an American holiday.
Oh, this is an American schedule. So
I should completely know this, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Don't worry, I have Google.
Yeah. Just wondering why we have an off week. Again, I'll say, because already in this calendar, in 5 races, we've got 2 weeks with breaks. Same thing, we've got another one in September, mid-September coming up. But it is Zandvoort coming up, which we're kind of going back to a bit of a technical track with those legendary banked curves. I'll let you know right
know what
away,
it is.
personally, for me, Zandvoort is not one of my tracks. It's a track I'll have to practice a lot throughout the week. So, yeah, mixed feelings about that one, but at least we got 2 weeks to practice. So what is the holiday, Nathan?
Alright, well, there is no way this is what the cause for the break is, but it is National Senior Citizens Day. So, so if
right.
you have a grandma, we are dedicating next week to them. So, shout out to all the grandmas and grandpas out there, I guess, and
Yeah.
not just all the senior citizens.
Absolutely. Bring your senior citizen to a racetrack. Let them have some heart attack moments, pun intended, for this holiday, because that's what it's for, apparently. On our part, from my part, Nathan, quick reminder, do not forget it if you've not done it yet. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to have a lot more exciting races going on this season. We've got our season. It's a 10-race season, but it's going on till October 8th. So, we've got Zandvoort, and then we're going. I think the second stretch for me is my favorite stretch. We got Monza, Austria, and Japan back to back in the September. So September is gonna be a great month of racing. Miami and Qatar coming in for the season finales, and so a lot of good racing still going on. We still have some battling for the Division 1 championship. Hudson Pool still quite on the lead, but has to beware for the drivers behind him catching up, as that could most possibly happen. And Zandvoort in 2 weeks will bring us quite some excitement, and can't wait to meet you on the track, Nathan, hopefully again, in Zandvoort. And so, what are your thoughts on Zandvoort before we go offline here on how that race weekend might be going?
I mean, I definitely like it on this year than I did last year, because it was very, very difficult to just be on traction and turn the car all the time last year. But now it's a good, very, very fun track on this game. So I expect to be ahead of you, of course. I expect to be ahead of everyone. I'm gonna win the race maybe, and disappoint everyone cheering for Max, who's Dutch. So that is the plan. But I think in terms of racing, it'll be alright. I mean, the main straight is a very great opportunity for overtaking, especially because the DRS zone is now extended. But yeah, I think it's going to be very exciting. What do you think about it?
Well, I remember last season, I believe, we also raced in Zandvoort, and we had some double overtakes happening in that race, and some unconventional moments on that track, mostly from Jakub Karsowicz in the Red Bull right after turn 1. So, it's the kind of track where you got to pick and choose your battles correctly, and it's not an easy track to do the overtakes. Obviously, with the DRS zones, as you mentioned, the extended DRS zone on the main straight, trying to help some of the overtakes. We got higher downforce setups, obviously, with the new game compared to last season, and so I think that's going to help the drivability on this track. Probably make it a lot more fun. I've not touched this track on this game so far, so I can't wait to learn it, adopt it, and learn to appreciate it with its bank curves and technical ways to get around it. And I think most drivers will be doing that across all our divisions for the next 2 weeks, as we're going to have another entertaining and exciting series of races, I should say. Division 3 Saturday, that would be August 26th. On here on our YouTube channel, so at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then that same Saturday, August 16th, 26th as well. I mean, Division 2, where you and I will be racing, Nathan, at 10 p.m. And then Division 1, obviously, we're going from track rivals to broadcast buddies, broadcasting this for the Division 1 Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So be with us, ladies and gents. We're gonna have a lot more racing for this season, but we'll see you in 2 weeks. It's an off week next week again, so August 27th. Be there or be square. Bid you adieu. Thank you again, Nathan, for broadcasting this with me, and I'll see you either in our practice lobbies or in next on track in 2 weeks. Good night, everybody.